It's your intellect once again. So today we are revising our history advanced level questions that are related to early Iron Age societies, specifically societies that existed during the time when iron was introduced. So we are looking on how the economic activities on these states or on these societies have managed their development.
Right. The question reads, examine the view that the role of trade in the rise of early Iron Age states. All right, let me write the question here. The question says, examine the view that the role of trade in the early Iron Age states EIA has often been exaggerated. Saka often been exaggerated ndokite muredo. Saka panapa issue yedu iri kufamba pakunoti muvhunzo uri kuti panapa examine the view that the role of trade in the early Iron Age states. What are the early Iron states? Early Iron Age states, these were states which began to use iron. So when we are talking about the early Iron Age state, we are talking about the conditions where iron started to be used. For example, early Iron Age states, we have Gokomere, we have Mapungubwe, we have got Maveni, we have got Great Zimbabwe. Just to mention a few, we have got Tsinji, Tutse, Andika, Zingwenda Zakadara, Tuwiran. These are early Iron Age states. So we have got what we call the late Stone Age period. Manzo, late Stone Age period, you know, the Sen, the Khoisan, Nepakazoyama Bantu. Early Iron Age, ndo pakaintroducwa iron. Late Iron Age ndo iron pangaya vayanzwa ya kunana Mchapa kunana Rose State ya late Iron Age period wise zvazara. Early Iron Age ichangotanga. Late Stone Age yakuda kunopera. Late Stone Age period inotosvika kudhuze neclose kunana Mapungubwe chichi andika tienda takadaro. So you must know these issues. Saka kana question ichiti examine the view. Examine, we are looking at a positive and negative impact of the given verdict. So in our given verdict, our positive implication is to agree on the fact that yes, it is true that early Iron Age states, yes, the impact of trade in early Iron Age states have been often exaggerated. Kuexaggerate kwa kuwedzererwa kunyepera. Saka panapa tukuti the question demands the candidates to agree that the role of trade in early Iron Age states, as we have mentioned here, have been often been exaggerated. Saka kana tabvuma kuti zvaka exaggeratedwa, which means we are saying there are other economic activities which have played a major role in the rise and the development and in the expansion of the early Iron Age states. Mukubata kukwenda nenyaya. Saka tiri kutaura kuti ichokwadi tobva tabvuma kuti tine impact of other economic activity both trade here pakanyepwa pachitaurwa nenyaya trade. However, hatizokanganwewo impact of other of trade in the development of this early Iron Age states. Tabatana. So here our major impact is to focus on the term often being exaggerated. Then we say other economic activities have a major impact. For instance, here we can say that taking consideration of this view. So in your introduction, you have to highlight that the early Iron Age states, these were states that emerged soon after the introduction of iron. As these states emerged soon after the introduction of iron, they have various type of economic activities which they practice, which made these states to develop and to have to develop. For example, my states are and the following economic activities are higher. But however, one cannot forget the impact which was played by trade in these societies. Tabatana autotange nekuda kutongori kuvhiringa question. Iwewo kana wato agree itotanga nekutobuditsa kuti ma alien age states chindo number 1. Number 2, the fact as these alien age states, we have got several economic activities which played more role other than trade. Those are for instance, among other factors. The term, why we use the term among other factors, it means we are telling the examiner that we have several ideas to denote on paper, but we cannot denote them at all in the introduction. Because introduction actually is half page, of which is our paragraph mark in 5 to 10 lines. Dome paragraph normal rine point rine explanation supportive point analysis tichibuditsa kuti tikuita sei. Saka for instance, we can take note of the fact that the impact of other economic activities was witnessed in the alien states. For example, we've got crop cultivation. Crop cultivation was one of the major impacts which have led to the development of alien states such as Great Zimbabwe. It is said that crop cultivation have improved food security, and as a result, this have improved the population increase. As according to P. Galek, by the end of the 12th century, the population at Great Zimbabwe had increased to 10,000 inhabitants, and this was because of the introduction of food, which was introduced by farming activities, production of millet, production of sorghum, and vanga kuwana chikafu chakaita sei chakakwana tabuditsa impact. Furthermore, we've got pastoralism. It is the rearing of cattle, and cattle were used for providing milk, for providing meat, and whatsoever chavai benefit any mombe by that time. And pastoralism was one of the major impact why it have developed the wealthy even of the king at Great Zimbabwe. And as the wealthy status was improved or was initiated, this have attracted more inhabitants into the state, and state developer pabuda impact. And for example, pa Great Zimbabwe patch, they need to end up mining. Mining have improved the alien states. For example, mining have led to the development of iron tools. For example, the mining of iron at Jaunda Mountain. So individuals in Gokomere, Tutsi people, Sinti and whatsoever, they started to practice crop cultivation. They started to manufacture iron ores, iron axes, and this have made the production of food and other activities to be easy. Saka zvava easy kwavari kuti va clear ma forest for agriculture. Zvava easy for them to defend their states, leading to the development of the state. For example, Mapungubwe have even developed into a state because of mining activities avaiita ikoko. And tapedza ipapo toenda hunting. Hunting was one of the viable activities that was practiced during the Iron Age societies. For instance, hunting was one of the major impacts, especially to the Sani people. Hunting was to the Khoisan. Hunting was one of their major economic activities. Why? It was where they obtained meat, and they survived from meat. Yavai obtain through that, and to improve their society. Since hunting yaiva iyo yavainyanya kufocasa nayo yakaita kuti vakwanise kutorarama nekuda kwenyama iyoyo. Andika even ukasada kushandisa the same people, you can use vanhu vekunana Mabveni, vanhu vekunana Great Zimbabwe vaishandisa hunting as their means of survival. How they could hunt elephants for ivory, and that ivory was used for trading purposes, and zvakubuditsa impact. Saka, in whatever point we are going to explain, you must have to show example of a state, scholar evaluation, explanation yakakwana. Then despite the impact of other economic activities, remember I always say haufane kuti when you are coming from affirmative side, this is what we call affirmative side. Affirmative side, it means we have agreed to the concern of the question. Then in non-affirmative side, we are now disagreeing, but it does not mean tiri kuti zvatanyora uko hatichazvidi. Tinotsvaga way iri nani yekunyora nayo so that examiner anonzwisa kuti these are arguments. Taurirana zvakafanana in court. Munhu akapuwa mhosva ye10 years zvakafanana. Recently we have got a man ainzi aiba mota aiti akahaya mota pakarenda oba oenda nayo andika akatongerwa 10 years mujeri. Vaazonzi because kubva uchizvarwa kusvika nhasi wanga usina kumbotadza kuti akugubvisira 2 years. Kubvisirwa 2 years hazvisi kureva kuti taramba kuti une mhosva. Unayo asi takunzwirawo tsitsi. Ndo kwazvinotangira to be a lawyer. You must have mukana wekuonawo rimwe side. Ndosaka kuma ati tine mukana wekuonawo rimwe side. Saka taakuti susu despite the impact of other economic activities, we cannot forget the impact which was played by trade in the development of early Iron Age societies. And for instance, we've got nyaya ye trade. Through trade, individuals they obtain salt. And salt was one of the basic commodities which have made even to the development of Great Zimbabwe. As according to salt theory, according to S. Mudenge, when salt deposits were now insufficient at Great Zimbabwe, it made the inhabitants to migrate to the area. Why? Salt ndo yaiva important iko kwanika salt theory ndo zvainotaura zvaradza kuti trade yaiva important. Takuti vai obtain cloth, it was one of one new modern fashion which was now being introduced. It was one of the major impact yaibatsira states aya, for example vanhu vekunana Great Zimbabwe chichi, saka vaitoida for their luxurious type of living and whatsoever. Tikaenda panyaya yemaweapons, they obtained weapons to defend their state through trade. They could exchange cattle with the guards, what. For example, vamwanu kunonzi individuals vekunana tsindi kupi vaito nge vari mablacksmith aigadzira mairon tools vachisupply to other surrounding states handiti zvichibatsira vanhu. Ukauya kana kuti panyaya yejewelry zvakapusa vai-exchange nemachinese nechi vachipuhwa jewelry, and it was a form of art yavaishandisawo to beautify their women kudi handi ndonawo dzacho. Takuenda pastatus, trade yakaita kuti pave ne-social class system musociety whereby takati avanainzi matraders, mahunters, but matraders vaiva ne-high social equity in the society. Why? Vanhu vaitozikanwa dzidzimbinga, vanoita ma-merchants, vanoita buying and selling of magoods vachitoraramisa mhuri dzavo zvichitoendeka. Handiti ndo maissues acho. So question ikauya ine term rekuti often been exaggerated, we must not forget kuti tatoramba kuti zviri kutaurwa about trade sandizvo, saka zvareva kuti tichatanga nezvimwe zvacho. Taurirana, hatidi vanhu vanopakanganwa ipapo kuti tinozotanga nezvimwe zvacho. Taurirana. So if you have got any questions munobvunza tobatsirana, kana musina tozopedzisa section B mangwana. Any question? Alright, uda kubvunza ye-reading iri wakupi iyi. Apa reading apa tiri kungoti isusu reading was one of the basic economic elements of the early Iron Age society. They used to raid each other to obtain cattle, to obtain women, to obtain whatsoever. So it was important because, for instance, for Great Zimbabwe to develop, they were raiding other neighboring society and forced the subject of those surrounding states to join them because they were a powerful army to develop a state. Roma issues actually.